Back to Crunch Time, a panel discussion about your favorite topic, sports.
Drew Brees is not a top 10 quarterback in NFL history. It's simple as that.
How do you say that? Drew Brees, you cannot argue with stats.
And I know for a fact it's going to be the best team in the East. It is the Toronto Raptors because of Kawhi Leonard.
I'm going to talk about another team that I want to be a Cinderella story so bad, and that's UCF. I talked about it earlier. They're ranked 12th in the nation. They beat Auburn last year in their bowl game.
It's Crunch Time.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Crunch Time, a panel discussion show about your favorite topic, sports. I'm your host Alex Cotter. Alongside me we have last week's winner Jack Beanick, the Greek god of Crunch Time, Nick Spiliopoulos, and the one and only Jeremy Lagos. How you guys doing?
Fantastic.
Good. Should we get started?
Yeah, let's go. Why not?
All right, October baseball continues to not disappoint, well, unless you're a Twins, Braves, or Dodgers fan. The Twins were the first 100-win team to get swept in the divisional series, and the Braves took a huge loss in Game 5 to the Cardinals, and Clayton Kershaw went into typical playoff Kershaw mode and blew the lead for the Dodgers in late innings, giving Washington the NLCS bid, courtesy of a Howie Kendrick grand slam. Guys, what are your takeaways from this divisional series? Jack, we'll start with you.
I think the biggest takeaway from the National League is the Washington Nationals. 17 runs scored in the 3 games they won against the best pitching staff in baseball. And also, the Dodgers throughout this season scored over 100 more runs than the Cardinals scored this season. So I think the Nationals proving that they can score and pitch well against a team that statistically was far better than the Cardinals shows a lot. And then in the AL, the Astros are looking very strong.
All right, Nick.
I said it before the playoffs even started in the whole thing, AL, NL. This is going to be one of the best playoff series that we have ever seen. I think that this is something that we'll all be talking about once we're 40, 50, 60 years old. We're going to remember this because it is so great, because we've seen games like the Dodgers and the Nationals go into extra innings in Game 5, so on and so forth. Per usual, the Dodgers blow it. They gave up a home run to Howie Kendrick, who only hit 17 home runs this season.
All right, we're going to go over to Jeremy.
I don't think you guys are talking enough about the Yankees. We mentioned it. The Twins were the first 100-win team ever to get swept in the divisional round. The Yankees were dominating in every facet of the game. It didn't matter who the Twins threw out there. They were hitting them well, and didn't matter which pitcher they were throwing out there, because the team that scored the second most runs in baseball, averaged almost 6 runs a game with the most home runs ever, got shut down. You don't really ever see that. So I think we don't give enough credit to the Yankees as a whole, as well as some of the other teams that have played. They're a monster, and I think, honestly, they should be the favorites heading into the World Series.
I still like the Astros more than the Yankees, solely because of the fact that the Twins don't really have that playoff experience compared to both the Astros and the Yankees. I think because of the Twins relied so much on the long ball.
How about that Cardinals
season.
series?
The Cardinals series, that's just great baseball. You got to witness history with the Cardinals scoring 10 runs in the first inning.
And Flaherty is probably the hottest pitcher in the
Cardinals
league.
are primed to make a run.
The AL has been so dominant. I don't think
I'm
it
going
matters
to cut it off here. I'm going to give that point over to Jeremy. I like what he said about the Yankees. They really impressed there in the divisional round. After a record-setting season, the Minnesota Twins head into the offseason with their heads held high. The Twins set the record for the most home runs in a single season with 307, and finishing with the second-best record in franchise history. This was a successful season, but the Twins failed expectations in the playoffs, or did the front office set them up for failure by not adding enough talent during the trade deadline? Nick, we'll hand it over to you.
I don't think the Twins fans have anything to hang their heads about. I'm going to echo what Rocco Baldelli said. I don't sit here frustrated in this last post-game conference. I'm rather happy and proud of my team for everything that they accomplished. The Twins made moves with Cruz and Crone and so on and so forth. They got a gem and a rise. There's nothing to hang your heads about. The Twins lacked the clutch factor. They went 3 for 28 with runners in scoring position to the Yankees 11 for 34. That's a 100 to 300 batting average comparison. The Twins just didn't have that experience.
All right, Jeremy.
They're good to go.
I like the Twins heading into next season. I mean, they made a bunch of moves that they could have, and then Michael Pineda, obviously his suspension really hurt because they really liked their starting pitching, and then their bullpen was one of the best bullpens down the stretch after the All-Star break. They have a lot of young guys. They have some guys in the minors that can come up, Royce Lewis, Kirilloff, amongst others. Eddie Rosario, they could use him as a trade chip, get some starting pitching, make a run at Garrett Cole. The Twins, I think they really are set up
Jack?
to make a run.
Yeah, I think the Twins overall had a great season. I didn't see them making the playoffs coming into the year. I mean, when you go in there throwing out pitchers, I mean, you have one guy that drove Uber for a living when he was pitching in the minor leagues, pitching in Game 2. You can't expect that that's going to beat the Yankees in New York. I mean, New York Yankee Stadium is one of the most hostile environments to pitch in, and it's a hitter's park.
I mean, the Twins were the best team in baseball on the road this season. I mean, you throw a guy in there who was an Uber driver, but there's a reason he was on that roster. He pitched well for the Twins. The Twins, I mean, as much as you hate to see it, they went from 100 losses to 100 wins in 3 years.
Yeah.
I like the way they're looking, and once again, their bullpen, which was a big gripe for the first part of the season, they shored that up. They made some moves at the bullpen. A guy gets hurt. You know, it's really tough when he's with everything that comes together. Unlucky, I think, in the postseason with the way some things went.
I'm going to have to go back to Jeremy on that one. He brought up a key topic. They were one of the best teams on the road. That's nothing to be disappointed about, especially in a very hostile AL. So we're going to give that one to Jeremy. And now we're going to move over to a little bit of football. Stefon Diggs had a rough start to his 5th season with the Vikings. Diggs has only 16 receptions and 1 touchdown. Last week, the Vikings fined him $200,000 for missing practice twice, and trade rumors about Diggs have surfaced. Here's what Diggs had to say about the rumors.
I said there's truth to all rumors, and what I mean by that, so I can, politely explain. There was a lot of speculation of me being frustrated. Of course, as being a receiver and wanting to have success and wanting to win. If you want to win and you're not winning, of course you'll be frustrated. That's my answer.
All right, now you guys picking up what Stefon Diggs is saying, or is there more here than you think? Jeremy, we'll start with you.
Well, Stefon Diggs, I mean, winning cures everything. He's not a selfish guy. Even when he was in Maryland, their QB play was awful. He didn't have anything bad to say about then. He stuck through it. He's one of the most talented receivers in the league. Gets open 80% of the time against man end zone coverage. Not a lot of guys can do that. Best contested catch rate in football. 3rd lowest drop rate since he's been in the league. Stefon Diggs, not the numbers you'd like to see at the start of the season, but he is a team-first guy. Winning cures everything. They went back on track against the Giants. I like him at home against the Eagles.
All right, Jack.
Well, the Vikings are good enough to where players like Stefon Diggs have expectations for this team. And that's why the frustration has set in, because when you expect to be winning games and you start out the season 0-2 in your division, most of the reason you've won 3 games is because of your running back and you're a receiver who's not getting touches because Kirk Cousins is playing bad. That's a problem. I mean, he has expectations for Kirk Cousins and has every right to be upset.
All right, Nick.
Diggs just wants to win, and that's as simple as that. Yes, he was frustrated. He voiced that frustration, and the media took it and ran with it. And the key point to this is Stefon Diggs had his best game against the Bears. The Vikings ended up losing that game to Chase Daniel. But then he had 3 catches for a mere 44 yards against the Giants, and they won. He didn't play great, but the Vikings won, and all of those frustrations had dissipated. I think this is a Stefon Diggs who, like Jack said, just wants to win, and they know that this team is capable of doing so. He's not throwing Kirk under the bus.
The last 2 times the Vikings made the playoffs, they started 2-2 in 2015, won the division. 2 years ago, 2-2, they went on and finished 13-3. They might have started slow, but you can't really blame Stefon Diggs. And also, historically, Kirk Cousins also starts slow. In Washington, he had some pretty slow starts to his career and then picked it up.
3-2 is not a bad record, but I think the 0-2 in the division is where the biggest issue for Diggs is.
I mean, there's a lot of games left.
All right, I'm going to cut you guys off.
Obviously.
I'm going to give that point to Jack. He made a good point. Kirk Cousins is not playing his best, and that could lead to a little bit of frustration. And that'll do it for the first round of Crunch Time. Next, the Browns are struggling again, and we'll finally dive into some basketball. Don't go anywhere. More Crunch Time is next. After an embarrassing 31-3 loss to San Francisco last Monday, the Cleveland Browns dropped to 2-3. Baker Mayfield isn't looking as sharp, and Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry aren't getting touches that we expected. But after the game, head coach Freddie Kitchens expressed to the reporters to not worry. Who's to blame for the tough start for the season, and should we actually be worried about the Browns? Jack, we're going to start with you.
I think it's too early to be worried about this Browns team. You got to remember, they're only 1 game back of the division lead. They beat the Ravens, who lead that division. Yes, they're 2-3, but being 1-0 in the division and beating the best team in that division is big. Nick Chubb's having a good season. He's number 4 in the league in rushing yards. And Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry are bound to get touches. Baker Mayfield does need to play better, but I think he will. He had a good season last season.
All right, Nick.
The tough thing about this is their head coaching situation. Kitchens is not meant to be the head coach of this team because he went from quarterbacks coach to offensive coordinator to head coach all in a year. There were guys like Josh McDaniels, John DeFilippo, Terrell Austin, all guys that could have stepped into that head coaching role. Kitchens didn't really have that experience that he was primed to make there, and he doesn't have the personality to control all of the big personalities on his team, like Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham Jr. Baker does need to play better because he's not getting those guys the ball. It's tough, but a lot of the blame has to go to Kitchens.
Baker Mayfield hasn't played his best, but he's very unlucky. Pro Football Focus has graded a lot of grades. His on-throw percentage is 83.3 due to 45 when he's not in rhythm. That says a lot about the play calling. The Browns also average over 5 yards a rush on first down, which means you need to start running the ball more. And they also keep track of turnover-worthy plays. Baker Mayfield, 8 interceptions on the year, but a lot of that is unlucky due to miscommunication and bad play by the receivers. They keep track of that, and he should only have 5 interceptions due to that, which means less turnovers, which means more wins. And like Jack said, they did beat the Ravens in the division. That's going to be huge because I don't think the division
What are the Browns going to do
good.
differently, guys?
I think it's just, again, focus on running the ball, getting the ball to Nick Chubb. Baker Mayfield has the talent.
Not only do they need to get the ball to Nick Chubb, but you got to get the ball to Odell Beckham Jr. He's the best receiver we've seen since Randy Moss.
If they get the ball to
That's
Nick
the result
Chubb,
of play calling. You got to
like
manufacture.
All
All right, guys. All right. Calm down. I love the arguing, but I'm gonna give that one to Nick. Freddie Kitchens is probably not the best option for this team. A lot of talent, and I think it's getting misused. Now, for our big crunch, we are roughly a week away from the start of the NBA season, and things are finally coming together. The league experienced one of the biggest shakeups in history with Kevin Durant leaving the Warriors, as well as a couple of powerhouses in LA. It seems like the league balanced themselves out over the offseason. Guys, a lot of talent to go around. But are the Warriors still on top as the NBA's finest, or should we expect another team to take the reins? Nick, we'll start with you.
You got to prepare for another team in California to take the reins. It's not going to be the Lakers. It's not going to be the Warriors. It's going to be the Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers made the playoffs last year, but now they've added 2 players that average 55 points per game, 15 rebounds per game, and 7 assists per game, in Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. I get that Paul George is hurt, but this team has made every single move that they need to be the contending team in the West. They've also added some other guys as well. Their perimeter defense is going to be solid, which is huge in the Western Conference when you're shooting a lot of three-pointers, and they have playmakers on offense.
Until you beat LeBron James, you're not going to be the team to beat. LeBron James, after they beat the Warriors, they were only 2.5 games back of first place. He averaged a triple-double after his groin injury when he came back. They had Anthony Davis. Sure, you have good perimeter defenders on the Clippers, but who's going to guard Anthony Davis? Montrezl Harrell is nice, but Anthony Davis is the best big man in the league. You add Danny Green, who's going to shoot it from outside. He's also going to defend the perimeter. LeBron James made it to 8 straight NBA Finals, and then he gets hurt. You can't put that all on him. The Lakers are going to be the team to beat until someone proves otherwise. Until you beat LeBron James, you can't be the favorite. The Warriors are not going to be nearly as good. When you lose Durant, D'Angelo Russell is nice, but how are you going to fit him with 2 other perimeter guys when Klay Thompson comes back? That's a lot of basketball to go around, a lot less shots. Kevin Durant obviously took a lot of shots.
Yeah, with Paul George being hurt, I think the Lakers are the team to beat in the West, but I like the Bucks this season because of the fact that they were bounced in the Eastern Conference Finals by the Raptors, who just lost Kawhi Leonard. They were up 2-0 in that series and had a good chance to win. Giannis Antetokounmpo won Finals MVP. That Bucks team is very dangerous out of the Eastern Conference, and I see that team being able to possibly compete with the Lakers.
It's going to be very hard to beat the league for the Finals MVP when you don't even make the Finals. He was league MVP, but LeBron James has a better than 500 record against every single guy that you're going against. Better than Kawhi, better than Giannis Antetokounmpo. LeBron is the gold standard.
What about Boston, Philadelphia, Denver? How about
Kyrie
Houston?
Irving, Kemba Walker is very good, but you lose too much with your Boston.
I think the Bucks are going to be very dominant in that Eastern Conference.
Because of that weak Eastern
it doesn't even
Conference,
matter who comes out of the East.
I don't see the Bucks getting
any
past
of those
the Western
teams,
Conference team because they're not playing that tough competition like all these Western Conference teams.
The Bucks would be lucky to be a top 4 seed in the West. The top 4 teams in the West are going to easily I would say they're probably going to sweep any team that comes out of the East.
Well, I don't know about that, just because, I mean, Giannis was very impressive in the playoffs, and the Bucks were not a bad team. Again,
I think Giannis
most
kind
of
of
the
got,
reason
they
lost
put
to the
Kawhi
Raptors,
Leonard, and all they did, they closed off the paint. Giannis,
What about
he
the
doesn't
Raptors?
really have any post moves. He can drive to the
They
paint,
lost
but
Kawhi.
once you
They're
take
not
that
gonna be
away,
good.
Giannis doesn't have any go-to moves. Their perimeter shooting, if that goes cold, they're not going to be able to do
Let
anything.
me just
They
say
try
this
to
quick.
follow.
Let me just say this quick. Kawhi Leonard won an NBA championship in
I'm
1 year.
gonna
in
have
Toronto.
to I'm gonna have to cut you off. Right now, Kawhi Leonard is the best player in the league, and the Clippers have something special going. I'm giving that point to Nick, and he wins the big crunch of the night. The NBA Big Three era might be over, as this offseason, we had some dynamic duos formed. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George look to take over LA, but they have to go through LeBron James and Anthony Davis, who teamed up on the Lakers. And let's not forget the trade that sent Russell Westbrook to the Houston Rockets to play alongside James Harden. Guys, out of these newly formed teams, which one do you see having the toughest time gelling together? We're going to start over here with Jeremy.
I mean, the Rockets, a lot of people, they talk crap about Russell Westbrook all the time. You can't win with him. So what does everybody think all of a sudden he comes to the Rockets, that all of a sudden whatever woes they have about Russell Westbrook is going to be fixed, especially when you have James Harden, who's going to be ISO hero #1. That's Russell Westbrook's game. They're not going to be able to gel well together. And Russell Westbrook, I don't hate him as much as other guys do, but especially when it comes to the playoffs, him and James Harden both aren't shown to be able to step up to the task.
I think the Brooklyn Nets won't really live up to expectations. With Durant being hurt, you don't know how he's going to come back from that injury. I don't think he's going to be the same player. When he came back briefly in the finals, he just wasn't looking like himself last season. And, I mean, they did make some big moves like DeAndre Jordan, Kyrie Irving, but they lose D'Angelo Russell, who has played a big role for that team. They kind of built their team around him, so I don't think the Nets will do too good.
I think my most disappointing new look team is going to be the 76ers. It goes kind of under the radar that they added Al Horford in the offseason. He was a big name in Boston, but he couldn't get it done in Boston. He's not going to get it done in the 76ers organization. That locker room's still a mess. Timberwolves shipped him off to Philadelphia. He created his own problems out there, and they're still going to feel those effects of Jimmy Butler, even though they traded him to Miami. This team, they've got the players like Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, who apparently can shoot.
What about the Mavericks?
Pairing up.
The Mavericks, Luka Doncic is nice, and the Unicorn is also nice, but they're not going to be. They're probably not even going to make it in the Western Conference.
also,
It's
I
going to be an 18 team. Also, another team
76ers
that's not going to be good. The Warriors have fallen. You lose Durant, you lose Iguodala. When you lose those glue guys, Jordan Bell, Sean Livingston, you lose your entire bench. That team's good. They'll be good, but they're not going to be the cream of the crop.
They aren't going to be as good.
They'll be lucky to be a top 4 seed in the West.
They could still compete with the Lakers. I don't think they will.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. I'm going to give that point over to Jeremy. The Rockets, with two guys that really want to dominate handling the ball, I'm not sure if it's going to gel well. We got Jack with 1 point, Nick with 3, and Jeremy over here with 3. But that will do it for round 2 of Crunch Time. When we get back, St. Cloud State men's hockey looks a lot different this year, and we introduce a new segment. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. The St. Cloud State Huskies hockey team is heading into this season with a lot of new faces. Last season, the Huskies were ranked #1 going into the tourney, and for the second year in a row, they were bounced in the first round. We're seeing a lot of changes to this Husky team, but what are the expectations going into this season for the Cardinal and Black? Jack, we're going to start it off with you.
I think the expectations aren't as high as they've been the last 2 seasons. The Huskies just lost their top 4 point scorers from last season, including Jimmy Schultz, one of the best defensemen in the nation. I do think this team is still going to be good, but I don't see them being a #1 overall team in the nation throughout most of the season. Now, maybe being a 2 or 3 seed in the NCAA tournament helps them, because they haven't been able to succeed being the #1 team overall in the NCAA tournament.
Nick?
I have to agree with Jack. I don't think they're going to be a #1 seed in any of the 4 regions, but this is a team that definitely can make it to the tournament. You lose guys like Jimmy Schultz, Blake Lizotte, Robbie Jackson. That has a serious effect on your team, but this team is still good. Brett Larson is at the helm. He's doing great things, and Brett Larson said it himself before the season started. Rennick had an okay season last year, but this year, himself and the team, they believe that he is set to have his poised season this year. So I don't see an issue with that solid goaltender in net. They've got guys on the ice that can do good things.
Jeremy?
The Huskies, they're going to be good, but they simply lost too much. You guys touched on it. They lost their top 4 scorers, 5 of their top 6, including Ryan Poehling, who's with the Canadians. Hrenek was not as effective down the stretch. Duluth and Denver are easily the 2 best teams in the conference, and you sneak a team like Western Michigan in there. When they have finished 3rd last season, they're going to finish 3rd again. When you bring back guys like Hugh McGing and Wade Allison, the Huskies are going to be lucky to sneak into the top half of the conference, with North Dakota also going to be really good as well.
I think, again,
I think they could miss out on the tournament altogether.
Losing guys that are playing in the NHL now, like Jimmy Schultz, who's with Vegas. Blake Lizotte just got an assist the other night with the Kings. These are star players.
But this won't defeat this year's Huskies team. This team is still good. Yes, you lose those big
Even
name
with
players.
the injury to Rennick?
Yeah. It was a precautionary thing. It's an exhibition game that doesn't matter.
They can make the tournament, but
they're going to be confident and they're going to be a good team, but they're not even in the top half of the conference.
They're projected to finish in the bottom half.
You're not going to be able to make the postseason if you're not even in the
top half of the conference. All right, guys, got to cut off. Good debates there. I'm going to give that one to Nick. This team still can do some special things, even despite losing some very top guys. Now, on to our final topic, which is our new segment where we have the Crunch Time Games of the Week. 1 point is up for grabs for each game. We'll start things off with number 7 Florida at number 5 LSU. Jack, you're up next.
Florida fumbled the ball 5 times last week against Auburn. That's not going to fly against an LSU team ranked 2nd in the nation in total offense this season.
Nick?
Jack, I find that confusing since you picked Florida last week. They just beat Auburn. They're back at home, and even though they turned the ball over 5 times, they're going to win. Florida.
Jerry?
LSU, Joe Burrow, 22 touchdowns, only trails Tua of Alabama, 27 of 27 scoring in the red zone, including 22 touchdowns. The defense gets healthy, and they play a backup QB. They had 3 interceptions last week. I like LSU.
All right, I'm gonna give that one to Nick. I think they got it. Now we're on the next to the Red River rivalry. Number 6 Oklahoma versus number 11 Texas. Nick, we're gonna start this one off with you.
I think Jalen Hurts, my Heisman favorite, is going to get things done in the Red River battle. They're number 1 in yards per game with 650. They're 7 of 10 in the last 10 games against Texas. Oklahoma wins big.
Yep.
I like Texas. They have the better skill position players. They beat Oklahoma last season. They've been battle tested early, playing LSU, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma, it's their first time playing a good team. Texas is at home. Their O-line is improving each game. They average almost 42 points a game.
Texas competed well with LSU against, as opposed to Oklahoma, who hasn't played anybody this season. I think that preparation against LSU is going to help Texas a lot in this one. I like Texas.
All right, that one's going over to Jeremy. Now, next, we head to the NFL. Undefeated 49ers are in LA to take on the 3-2 Rams. Who takes the NFC battle? Jeremy?
I like LA. The Niners components they've beaten are combined 5-15. The Rams are battle tested once again. That helps. They have the better skill guys. They're in the Super Bowl last year. Sean McVay, Todd Gurley's getting going. I really like the Rams. They're really going to start wrapping it up.
Jack?
I like the 49ers. They beat a Buccaneers team who beat the Rams pretty handily. This is a 49ers team that's dominating rushing, very good on defense, 2nd in the league in yards per game allowed.
The Rams had to cancel practice today. Thursdays are usually the heaviest day of the week in their workload. Gurley, Talib, both questionable for Sunday's game. 49ers are undefeated on the road.
All right, I'm going to cut it off. Jack made a good point about their defense. And that'll do it for round 3 of Crunch Time. When we come back, we'll have your winner. All right, welcome back, everyone. We have our winner here, Nick Spiliopoulos. He ended with 5 points, Jeremy with 4, and Jack with 2. Nick, the floor is yours.
Let's have a little conversation together, right?
All right.
You know, we had Crunch Time Game of the Weeks, or Games of the Week. We didn't talk about kind of the run that we've got going on ourselves. Right. You know, I'm a Nebraska fan, you're a Gophers fan.
Yep.
Can we just both agree now that this is going to be a good game regardless?
Oh, for sure. I mean, you got Nebraska, who is very skilled, very talented. They've had a few tough games this year. You also have the Gophers, who probably were one of the best offenses in the Big Ten. Tanner Morgan is up there with passer rating, along with guys like Tua Tagovailoa and Fromm. So it's going to be a pretty good matchup.
I think we're going to have a good game on Saturday. And to my 2
All
competitors.
Right, I got to cut you off there. We're gonna end this episode of Crunch Time. Thanks for joining us, everybody.